There we go. Hey folks, yeah, we're live. Good. Okay. Just a couple of minutes till the top of the hour and the show. I do start streaming a couple of minutes early for a couple of reasons. So anyway, yeah, just here's to a good show, and I'll see you in a minute. A couple of minutes. All right. One, two, da di da da. Oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Daily Brexit coming up shortly.
Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon.
Daily Brexit. One, two, da di da da. Oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Daily Brexit coming up shortly.
Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon.
Daily Brexit. One, two, da di da da. Oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Daily Brexit coming up shortly.
Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Live at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon.
Daily Brexit. Hey folks. Good afternoon. And welcome to the Daily Brexit. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination, and exposing plutocracy. And struggling with faders. I'm Olly Connolly. Thanks for turning up. And today's show, United Disobedience. Because we need uniting to be a full force for Brexit. And they clearly aren't listening, the political classes. It's come to this. We need to refuse to cooperate with these plutocratic puppets. Yeah, excuse me, my words are a bit garbled. But we're going to have a good debate. Yeah, basically, if we want our liberty, we're going to have to try a whole lot harder. With me considering this, and herself considering car wars a national go-slow traffic plan, we try to spread awareness, is Jacqueline Jackson. And with us are Daily Brexit regulars, Lisa Mcpherson and Piers Garnham. Or they will be when I can get them on the phone. And we're taking your calls, please, and reciting your comments. So hey, suggestions, addendums, corrections, please join the chat. How can we better unify? And how can we hold democracy to account? This is the Daily Brexit. Just trying to find out generally what the ruddy hell is going on. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Okay. And Jacqueline, a bit of a roll call. Jacqueline Jackson, are you there?
I certainly am.
Brilliant. Good. Lisa Mcpherson, have we got you yet? I don't think so. Or Piers Garnham? No, they're stragglers. Okay, I'll sort them out. We'll get them bums on seats. But in the meantime, it's really Jacqueline that I wanted to talk to first of all anyway. Obviously, we're all feeling, I guess, a lot of us anyway, pretty deplorable about May's speech last week. It was deplorable, and a lot of us are very, very concerned about it and considering what we need to do to up the ante. I look around the web, I look at some of the comments, I look at some of the stories. A lot of folks are actually pretty happy on the Brexiteer camp to see what happens. And I find that incredible. That is a minority, but I am seeing those kind of, if you like, positive comments. But we know that Theresa May voted for Remain. We know that Boris Johnson, well, hey, a lot of us suspect strongly that he is controlled opposition. Yeah. He did a U-turn in the course of a few days last week, did he not? What does it tell you? What does it tell you? We're basically putting this off. We're now in Keir Starmer territory in terms of the kind of Brexit policy we have, i.e., let's have the transitional period. I thought that's what Article 50 was all about. Jacqueline, what do you think about this before we get into how maybe we can pull together and the kind of things we actually need to do to make our voice a bit more heard than we thought had been necessary in a referendum? Jackie.
Wow. I listened to the speech and I was aghast. Absolutely aghast. I thought, is she not listening to the people? Nobody wants soft Brexit. You either want Brexit or you don't want Brexit. Nobody voted for nearly or halfway. We voted for Brexit or against it. We were heard. The result was there. And since then, I've met 1,000 odd people who voted Remain and have now discovered that the EU is twisted in its tentacles of grip and regret voting Remain. I just am beyond comprehension of how she thinks that's okay.
Well, I don't know if you heard, last week we had a couple of our UKIP leadership candidate interviews on Daily Brexit, and we had, for example, Henry Bolton was saying that the transition is just the pragmatic approach to untangle ourselves from the EU and to go on from there. I mean, it has to be said, when you add in that, if you like, that keyword pragmatism, there is an argument to say that we need some sort of a transitional period. Is there not? Playing devil's advocate here, yeah.
Absolutely
I don't like
not.
this idea. Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, we were taken in without our consent.
Right.
Even the law of this country says that we cannot give over sovereignty to another country without having a complete and utter referendum on it and us all agreeing. We didn't. Nobody did. We joined a common market. I remember it well. I'm 60 years old. I remember all the spiel about it. I was a young girl. And even then it sounded a bit dodgy to me, and my parents were against it. Since then, they've added more and more tentacles of control, bit by bit, item by item, until suddenly we are just part of a massive, great cowpat that is the EU.
Okay, we're going to be
That's
talking
farmer
more.
talk. I'm sorry, I'm a farmer.
No, hey, yeah, it's absolutely fine. But we're going to be talking more about these tentacles and the kind of the way that the EU was thrust upon us over the course of this show. I just want to get a couple of comments out. We've already got some comments going on. Derek Pierce, well done to Graham Moore and the White Pendragons for being at the High Courts in London to make people aware of the judicial review served to the government last week to void European Communities Act of 1972. And indeed, absolutely. I mean, yes, this is what we need now, isn't it, to be more heard?
I'm a dragon. Loud and proud.
Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm getting people asking how they call into the show. Chris Ford, actually. You don't need a phone number. all you need to do is to go to Skype and look me up in the directory, just on the search thing, put in Olly Connolly, one word. Call that. You can. It's not a problem. And I'll patch you in and we'll, have a chat. So if you want to, please get involved, yeah? For Skype. So Skype, Chris is just asking, just get onto Skype, in the search box, Olly Connolly, look for that. Just click on the phone icon and it'll call me and I'll patch you into the show. Be fantastic. Jackie, that is heartening and it's kind of good timing, this lawsuit that the Pendragons have brought, eh? Do you know the detail? I'm hoping we're going to get one or two dragons on tonight to tell us about that. If you, by any chance, any of you, were at the High Courts today, outside there, tinkering your pots and pans, please, I want to hear from you. And I've got to say, there didn't appear to be that many people at the High Court, and I wasn't there myself. I would have liked to have been. I know a lot of us would have liked to have been. The support online was enormous, absolutely massive. I was looking at Graham's live post. I can't remember the numbers, but they were stratospheric. I mean, really, really, really lots and lots of support. Probably had 1,000 comments over the course of an hour, something like that. It was just absolutely mad. So there is tremendous support, even from people, and a lot of folks. It is difficult logistically to be able to protest, to be able to go down to, for example, Parliament Square and pitch a tent, if that might work, or down the Mall. Maybe we should be talking about things like this, hopefully throughout the course of the show as well. Other things that we can do.
Maybe we should.
Well, Jackie, I mean, it's difficult for a lot of people. Have you noticed too the support online though for example, what the Pendragons have been doing? People are really, really interested in what those guys are doing, questioning the law, the legality of the 1972 ECA.
Oh, it's huge. The support is huge. But people can't travel. People have been in austerity for 7 years. People are poor at the moment. People can't travel. I've got the answer to that. I have got the answer to that. Okay.
Yes, I know. I know you do, which actually is one of the reasons you're here. Right. Okay, Jacqueline, tell us, what is your plan? You've got an idea to try and basically get people to listen. So what is it?
It is this simple. Every single village, hamlet, town, city, everywhere we go, where there are Brexiteers, and there are millions of us, form into small groups of 10 using our webpage.
Right, groups of 10.
Yeah, groups of 10 or more, but never less.
Right.
Any less than 10 is ineffective.
Okay.
Then on the same day, on the same date, we all meet at our respective places, which could be a petrol station, a Tesco's car park, a lay-by, and we join a small road that leads to a big road, but in convoy.
Right.
Once we're in convoy, we all slow down in our groups of 10 or more.
Right.
We slow down with hazards on, and we slow down controllably and in good behaviour with hazard lights on, until we reach 10 miles an hour and we stop the traffic behind us.
Yeah,
every small road leads to a main road. Everyone has to hit a main road to go to work.
Yes,
right?
I can see that would cause a lot of...
Those who work and are afraid to join a protest can then phone their boss and say, I'm stuck in this bloody protest. I can't get past them. I'm sorry, sir, I won't be in today. Not my fault. It's these anarchists. And then they get their flags out and they unfurl and they join us. Right? So nobody can be blamed. And the groups are too small to police. They can't kettle us. They can't slow us down. They can't stop us. Because we will be in civil disobedience, they can't even lay charges against us afterwards. Because we are in civil disobedience. And that is our right under the law of this land. If our government is not representing us, we can declare civil disobedience, and they cannot arrest us for then acting on civil disobedience.
Okay, so I'm just as an aside, I've got Chris Ford is actually trying to call me, and I can't for some reason add that to the group call. And if I try to, I know it will cut off Jacqueline So
Well, cut
I'm
me
going
off.
to
It's okay.
decline
You
that,
can come
Chris.
back to me
I'm sorry.
later.
However, I'm going to try and get hold of you, Chris, to return your call on Skype. I don't know why it wasn't possible for you to do that. If you try and connect with me on Skype, then we'll connect, and then I'll definitely be able to patch it in. Normally, I've been able to patch in people without having been connected to them, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I haven't, and I just had thought I had. Sorry, Jack. Yeah, okay, fine, right. I'm with you. That's going to cause a lot of frustration, though. I mean, is there not a possibility that
Absolutely.
could people just basically creates a lot of antagonism?
Do you not think there's 17.5 million frustrated people right now sat at home thinking, I don't know how I'm going to stop this because the government's bigger than me?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right. Okay, Jacqueline. Right. I've got. Oh, blimey. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the phone there. I can't patch people in. That's so annoying. Right.
And don't ask me
mind,
because I am absolutely a technophobe. I know nothing.
Jacqueline, I'm going to call you straight back. Christine. Chris. Oh, no, I've lost everyone. What a pain. I'll tell you what. Okay, here we go. If I add Chris to the contacts, and then I call her, and then I try and add Jacqueline to that call. I'll do it the other way around, yeah? Chris.
Hi, Olly.
Hey, my dear. We've never spoken before. I know you've been watching Daily Brexit since pretty much the off, and I really, really appreciate that. How are you? What was it that compelled you to call today that you haven't done before? As if we don't know.
I can't remember. My granddaughter did it.
Blimey. Okay.
Is the shop open yet?
What do you want to buy? I don't know. We might start selling some mugs. I don't know. We might do that. Who knows? I'm going to get Jackie back on as well.
I'm just on my way home.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And right. Lovely. Good, Chris. And so you're going to the shop?
No, I said, when's your shop open?
Well, the show's on now.
All right,
You're live.
I didn't know that.
You're live.
All right,
yeah.
Okay. I'm on my way home.
No, stop putting to
You need to keep it so you can see, yeah.
And I'll ring you back. Oh, right.
Brilliant. That's terrific. That's great. Cheers, Chris. That's good to know. God bless you. Call us back. Lovely.
Okay.
Cheerio.
Bye for now.
Alrighty. Oh, blimey. I'll tell you what. Can you believe it? Right. Okay. Let's try and resume this call, if I can, with Jacqueline. It's not normally like this. It's normally more organised with calls, I'll tell you. Jackie. Hey, Jackie, sorry about that. I thought I'd be able to patch people into a different group call more easily, and it turned out that Chris didn't even know that we were on air and just wanted to say hi.
That's okay. That's fine. I don't understand all this technology anyway.
Skype's brilliant, though, for this. It's amazing that we can do this. Okay, so you have had a lot of interest in this. I know that. Tell me about the level of interest that you're getting and where it's coming from.
Everywhere. Absolutely. I can't believe it myself. The thing is, I lived in France, on a rural farm in France, and I saw the farmers' protest, and I thought, do you know what? Britain should do that. They are so successful. When they do a blockade, they do a blockade. And
yeah, they do. They do. Yeah. And also, we did have a successful blockade on Calais, didn't we? And the ports once, which changed the law. That wasn't so long ago either.
Nope.
Well,
no.
Do you remember the detail of that? Because I, to be honest with you, don't.
I really don't. I know we did, and I know it worked, and I've also seen it work in America with bikers, with the biking community on the Trump rallies.
Yeah, that's right.
Where they stopped the anarchists getting in to attack the supporters, which was fantastic of them. But the thing is, we don't need many people from every village, from every town, to just join their small little group. And there we are. Boom. One day, one time, without notice, the whole country could come to a standstill in a few hours. And I'm sorry, but people protesting in London, they ignore it. They take no notice at all. It never makes BBC or ITV News or Sky News, ever.
Yeah, that's right. That is a problem at the moment. But we have to start somewhere, though, don't we?
Yeah, this has got to make it, because it's too big. It's too many people.
It is a very interesting idea. Let me read some of the comments that we're getting here. Piers and Lisa, are you there on this call now, out of interest? Because my Skype is kind of, okay. Oh, yeah, I'll try and get these guys all right. Okay, Anne-Marie Warman, well said, this lady. Helen Shaw, people work and can't go. Derek, she was actually referring to the Pendragons and the High Courts in London earlier. I know she was. Derek Pierce, sorry, go on. A lot of people are terrified to go into London now as well. Don't forget that. And it's a long way, obviously, for a lot of people. A scary place now. Yes. I think the Pendragons have got the idea of there being more demonstrations around the country as well. I know I've seen that in Graham's posts. Derek Pierce, we self-funded the court case and used co-op source law. Derek Pierce, if you want to call in and tell me more about that, I'd love to know. Anne-Marie Wildman, David Davis had 21 days to answer, so 16 days left. Right, okay. So this writ that the government's been served with, I don't know whether that's the right way to say a writ. I think so. They've got a certain amount of time to answer it, 21 days, and they've got 16 days left. 16 days left to answer that. And we, might hear what the official position is from the government. And I suppose that they're beholden to at least give some sort of response. Marty Kane, Theresa May delivered a speech in Florence. It was definitely an offer that was weighted in favour of the EU. And I, like everyone else, was horrified until it dawned on me that the EU cannot accept any deal the UK put forward. She could offer them the world and they would still reject it because that would lead to other states wanting a better deal or leaving with us. Now, when they reject her offer, she can walk away with her head held high and look great in the eyes of the electorate. Get ready for GE 2018, folks. For a general election in 2018. What do you think of that? Marty Kane is quite positive. He thinks it was a cunning plan. Yeah, right. All right. Okay. Jacqueline disagrees with I really don't know. And you know what? We can't be sure either way. And the default should be to cover the bases. And if we're going to do that, we can't trust her. We're rolling on. So we're not going to stop just because she might just change her mind later. We're in austerity. People are on 0-hour contracts. People are brassic, and yet she's handing over money, hand over fist, to some huge corporation that none of us signed up for. We don't belong to the EU at all. They don't own us. Britain, for God's sake, we've won 2 world wars. We're Britain. We're British. And that doesn't matter what colour you are, you're British. Marty Kane, I can see that upsetting a lot of people they want the support of. I think that he is talking, as is Derek Pierce, that will upset the people. They're talking about holding up the traffic and bottlenecks. Helen Shaw, this is being screened. Derek Pierce, common law is our main weapon. Beverly Taylor King, do not panic, Olly. Stop at the shop for me and get me 20 smokes, says John Middleton to Chris, I guess. Andy Good, I want not to buy our freedom. Marty Kane, I hope to God you're right, says Mark Painter. Diane Abbott, people, I don't think it's the Diane Abbott, by the way. People won't come out. Margaret Painter, Parliament lost. Diane Abbott, good. Hopefully they will reject it. Again, along the lines of Marty there. Linda Me, we have a government that can't be trusted. John Middleton, money is just the controlling tool of humanity. Derek Pierce, lawful rebellion is our way forward too. Andy Good, peaceful non-compliance, we win. Actually, that is a key, isn't it? If it is peaceful non-compliance, then surely that does make sense. And there are ways that we can do that as well, maybe without holding up the traffic.
Possibly.
I don't know, Jackie. I mean, when you talk to people, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think personally we need to approach this from a whole bunch of different angles.
Right.
What do people say to you when you suggest this? What do they riposte with?
I'm ready to get my group of 10. Please, please, please tell me how I join in this. 300 odd friend requests today, all wanting to join. Umpteen inbox messages asking exactly how it's going to work. Maybe 10 trolls telling me that I'm an anarchist or I'm a racist. And this isn't about immigration. This is about bringing back control. It's about the money we're giving away. It's about austerity. It's about the state of our roads while we're building fabulous roads across Spain and France and Germany, and ours are full of potholes. It's about everything bar, but also immigration. You know, that's still part of it, but it's not the main part. The main part is that she's made me retire in 8 years' time when I was due to retire. I planned my retirement for this year. My husband's 70. I was going to retire at 60, which was my right. Right? Guess what? I've got another 8 years now. I can't retire for another 8 years. Out of the blue, 18 months ago, I was suddenly told, oh no, Mrs. Jackson, you and your husband aren't retiring together. Guess what? You're retiring at 68. I'm 60. Really? And yet, you can't afford me to retire. You want me to work an extra 8 years. But you can afford 20 billion for the EU, and you can afford whatever the figure is, but the figure bandied around is 350 million a week. Really?
Yeah, that's what Boris brought up again in his letter in the Telegraph, wasn't it? He said that actually, if we were to go into the next round of budget with the EU after this budget runs out, then it would be that kind of amount that we, would have to spend on something else.
They're joining more and more poor countries in, really poor countries, that then they expect us to bring up to their standards on our money. You know what I mean? We can't do that. We can't keep our roads free of potholes. We're paying the highest car tax in Europe. We pay the highest tax on petrol in Europe. Where's that money going? It should be going into our roads, not EU roads. For God's sake, have you seen our roads? We drive on them every day. Bring the money back to the UK.
So you don't trust that it's going to happen? You don't think it's going? No. You don't think that there's any possibility that the transition could be a sensible thing? Because there's another argument to say, look, hold on a sec. We've got to pay. Well, no, if we're going to stick with our budget commitments, then we'll pay, for the next couple of years. And then the budget's over. And Theresa May is saying that come Brexit Day, we will, but that'll be it. We will be out. We will be out, but we will be in a transitional arrangement. Have we
forgotten the billions of pounds they've spent on buildings across the EU to house themselves that we own 1/27th of? We don't owe them anything. Truly, what do we owe them?
Well, technically nothing.
Well,
but
there you go.
On the other hand, the argument...
Article 50 has absolutely nothing in it about paying a fine for leaving. Nothing.
You're right. You are right.
They can't invent new treaties after the fact. They can't think up things and then just make it right.
Chris Ford, what do you think of that?
I didn't hear a thing. I've just switched on.
Oh, blimey. Okay, we're beginning to get some callers now, and old Piers is on the way apparently as well. Look, Chris, basically, the bottom line, what Jackie is saying is that she just doesn't trust that this transition is innocent. That she just doesn't see any reason that we should believe in Theresa May saying that she is going to deliver Brexit. But basically we're just seeing a process of procrastination which will inevitably lead to exactly what we've got remain.
Well, in Barnier's speech today, he put it down to Theresa May and all her ideas about having extra 2 years and all such as that. But she still hasn't told him why she wants the extra 2 years. So it's all back in her court. It's her that's doing all of this, nobody else.
Michel Barnier today, I didn't hear that. How did he sound? What kind of response did he give to May's speech and what she said? Did he sound welcoming towards it? Pardon? He had an interpreter. Yeah.
Yeah. And by what I could hear, it was all down to May. All this extra time she wants, nothing to do with the EU. And they haven't a clue what she wants it for. So nothing's happened. There's no talks.
So actually all we've really done, you could argue, is set talks back by another couple of weeks, because there was this announcement that talks would be delayed until the Prime Minister gave a message. Then she does, and she basically hands a load of trump cards, like to the tune of 20 billion and, you know, two years of prevarication to the EU. But for nothing in return. Billion. That's not very good negotiating a couple of weeks, really, is it?
The 20 billion is a deposit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And he's already told her, well, the other one, who's the other one? Juncker.
Merkel. Oh, Juncker. Yeah.
He's already told her. That's no good. Now they've put it back to 100 billion. So that's just the way it is.
Juncker's already said 20 billion's not enough, has he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said that, did he? I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's lovely as our Jean-Claude, isn't he?
You see, what she's doing, what May's doing, is allowing us to read between the lines.
Exactly. I know exactly.
Right.
We're 2 and 2 together and make them bad.
No. It's not that.
Hold on a sec. Look, hold on, Jackie. Look, please don't have a domestic while you're on Skype. Your husband's very, very welcome. Whoever's there is very, very welcome to chip in. God bless you all. Yes, indeed, Chris. It's okay. We got some more comments coming in. Maureen McLaughlin says we don't owe anything to the EU. Keep us in the EU. This is a trick by May. Linda Me, it isn't innocent. The EU army will be in place by the time we leave. And what are they planning to do with that? It makes you wonder. Theresa May only looks after her own. Marty Kane, what does Jackie think? The 2 years of exit negotiations clearly written in Article 50 were actually about. Well, nobody knows that, do they? Because it's not spelt out. I don't know.
It was about getting 2 years extra money out of us.
Ah. Well, or you could argue that was the transition, which kind of made sense. I mean, that's what I understood going through the referendum campaign, that we would trigger Article 50 and then that would give us, if you like, the cushion, 2 years to organise the divorce. And it might be that we had to go out on WTO terms after all that, if we didn't get the approval of all the other nation states signing it all off and the EU Parliament, whatever. But on the other hand,
objected to the 2 years.
We can prepare. Pardon?
But 4 years? 4 years is actually taking the mickey. What they're hoping is we'll all get so comfortable, Brexit will be forgotten, we'll all be sitting under austerity again because we still have to pay them. Yeah. They'll still be cutting services to schools and hospitals and roads and everything else while we pay the EU. But we'll be so complacent that we'll have forgotten we ever voted out in the first place. 4 years.
Joshua Bible Let's never pay EU a penny again.
Hi, Josh.
Void 1972. Nicole Bushell, they will do anything they can to stitch up the democratic decision made on 23/6/16. The future of the independent sovereign nation is at risk here. Globalism is a monster that needs to be slayed. Britain to the rescue again. Nicole, you are absolutely so spot on. Many times I will say on this show that Brexit is just one battle in a far, far greater war on globalism. In my opinion, that's my opinion. And it's just we are perfectly placed to fight this wider war from the UK. And we must. Quite aside from for the UK. For the whole of Europe, damn it. Margaret Painter, the EU don't even know what Article 50 is about. It was never supposed to be used. Suzanne Mazzano, we should stop paying the EU until an agreement has been made. Stephen Morgan, we should pay them nothing. Yeah, well, okay.
I'm with them.
So we need to come together, though, don't we? Because at the moment,
absolutely.
we do seem very fragmented. The Remain camp is actually, considering they lost the referendum, they're very well bound together, no?
Yeah.
Frankly, I think you've got people like Tony Blair and the Peter Mandelsons behind the scenes, organising everything, getting the funding in and organising this infrastructure to ensure that their message is getting out and that you get people, failed politicians, unelected at the last election, like Nick Clegg, on the Andrew Marr show, spouting his, ageist propaganda, telling us that we would be better off if we were all dead, and and the BBC puts these people on air because, after all, they deserve to be heard. They were voted back in, weren't they? Yeah, were they?
It has huge funding.
Go on, Jacqueline. Go on.
Well, the BBC has huge funding from the EU. So does Sky.
It does get some funding from the EU. Yeah.
I stopped paying my BBC licence 5 years ago. That's my choice. I don't watch it. I never watch live TV ever.
Right.
I can't bear the news.
You don't pay your
licence
fee.
Sickeningly condescending.
Yeah.
That it's no longer news. It's the EU propaganda page. So why would I pay it? Why would I even think to? That's another point and another argument. That's totally different. But
okay.
People are just going so complacent now. And that's what Theresa May is relying on. The extra 2 years is just to get more complacency, hoping more of us Brexiteers who are old will die off. And with the schools being so lefty indoctrinated and pushing the EU agenda so hard, they're coming up the new voters.
Yep.
So, if we don't act now, we've lost it. And that is the truth. We have lost it if we don't act now.
See, it's been convenient for this government for us all to blame the EU for all the ills.
Yes.
And
it has. Yep.
I mean, everybody was blaming the EU because they were just living in hope that May was going to do what she was supposed to do. And really, it's this government that are the villains.
Yeah. And you have to remember, only 58 people voted Theresa May in as our Prime Minister. Only 58 people. There are 65 million voters in this country. 58 people put her where she is.
Yeah.
We had no say in that.
Okay.
But you see, where we thought we lived in a democracy, we never did.
No.
We never did we? And they knew that. So it'll only be a matter of weeks before they tear her out.
Wow.
Put somebody else in her place.
Well, let's hope it's Mog.
We don't live in a democracy. Piers Garnham, what do you think of that?
I'm inclined to agree. I think we've gone past the point where democracy actually is legit. It seems that...
How far adrift are we?
Well, all the way adrift. I don't think that the political process means anything anymore. It's just there for it's like watching X Factor or Britain's Got Talent. It's just there for show now. Clearly May is working for the globalists, the Bilderbergers, and basically she's doing everything in her power to discombobulate the British public, so they don't really know whether we're coming or going, and she's going to continue to drift along for years. I mean, we'll get to 2021, and then they'll push the can down the cul-de-sac a bit more, and it'll only be ever be Brexit in name only, and basically it'll be as if we never left. It'll be exactly as this. She's a completely manipulative, duplicitous,
snake.
Grace May cannot be trusted at all. She's working directly for the Bilderbergers, as is most of her cabinet, as are most parliamentarians. Sorry?
And Merkel as well.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Merkel. I mean, Merkel is, well, of course, yes, Merkel. I mean, basically, Bilderberg was set up in '54 to manage the global human population.
Piers, by the way, is Daily Brexit's New World Order stringer, and you can probably hear why. Piers, carry on.
Well, I'm the...
He's not far wrong, though, is he?
He's right. That's why he's our stringer.
As the sort of more conspiratorial side of the game, and I can go into some of that if you want, but I don't want to start putting people off too much with how deep I can go down the rabbit hole.
Go on, come on. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
A lot of people, it's quite.
I've got my shovel out.
Let's go down the rabbit hole, Piers.
Yeah,
Should we go down the
listening.
rabbit hole? Okay.
Well, let's just go to the pub. No, go down the rabbit hole. Go down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Well, it's quite difficult for people to grasp this when they haven't been exposed to it before. But if you've done your research and looked into it over a number of years, like I have, then it starts to make more sense than you care to imagine. But anyway, I'll give you the sort of brief synopsis. Basically, we've been lied to about humanity, full stop. Man and how man came into existence. We've been thoroughly lied to about.
Okay, don't get that deep. Don't get that deep.
Okay,
just bring it back just one layer.
All right, okay. Paul Hellyer, for example, the ex-Minister of Defence for Canada, went on the record at a press conference a couple of years back, where he said categorically that he believed that we were interacting with people from elsewhere.
Okay, hold on. Well, Piers, no, I didn't mean to go that deep either. Let's just keep it at Bilderberg level for now.
All right, okay, well, I'm leading up to that.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to get a bit of background to understand why Bilderberg was created.
Right.
Basically, at esoteric levels, there's been a degree of understanding about a presence from elsewhere that's existed on this planet for time immemorial. They exist in the physical and the etheric, and what the Catholic Church would describe as demons are actually sort of entities that you could categorize as sort of ET controlled, believe it or not. And they've been hanging around for ages, waiting for mankind to reach a sort of technological level of sophistication where they can sort of step in and work with them. The Nazis started to do this during the Second World War. They started to work with Nikola Tesla's research, and they were also people like Hitler Adolf Hitler was completely obsessed with the occult and had a team of SS soldiers going around the world looking for relics about ancient advanced technologies and what have you, and they utilized a lot of this and started to develop electrogravitic technology, basically anti-grav. This came to the attention of those off-worlders that have been living on Earth but haven't been interacting with humanity. They're not, the ones that the Nazis ended up dealing with were a nefarious group, largely based under the ice shelf in Antarctica, believe it or not. And anyway, they after the Second World War, I mean, there's a lot of strong evidence to suggest that Hitler faked his own death and went to live in Argentina. Yeah. And then he gave him relatively easy access to the underground bases that the Nazis had built or were there in conjunction with these off-world races that they were now in cahoots with. So the Nazis were given off-world technology, advanced technology that so they started to build a sort of secret space program. The Americans got wind of this, sent a chap called Admiral Byrd down there with the American fleet just after the Second World War. They got inundated and attacked by aerial-bound craft that they'd never seen before and technology that they were incapable of.
Hold on, Piers, listen, this is... It is fascinating.
I'm leading. I'm getting. Okay, I'll surmise. Anyway, basically, the Americans got in bed with the Nazis, and
we know they did with, for example, Operation Paperclip. We know that.
The birth of the American military-industrial complex.
Yep.
Plus the
that's
Roswell
what set up
crash.
NASA, the Nazi rocket scientists, and the
plus
CIA
the
was set up off the back of the SS in Germany. Piers, carry on.
So in 1947, we had the Roswell crash, which was legit. You had Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, confirmed that the Roswell crash was real. And basically then, from that point on, the Americans and Nazis were working together to create a secret space program with the technology they were given by these off-world peoples that they were working with.
Right.
In 1954, Bilderberg was created in conjunction.
Okay, Stephen Morgan. Now we're getting back on topic. Carry on, Piers.
In 1954, the Bilderberg Group was created in order to organize and control the Earthbound human population.
Right.
There was a huge brain drain going on into the secret space program. The version of NASA that we're aware of is a public relations exercise, so the shuttle...
hold on, say that again. The version of NASA that we know is a PR exercise. There's a lot behind it, a lot more behind it. Okay,
the moon landings, the space shuttle, the
Bilderberg, Piers. Bilderberg.
It's all just a public relations exercise to keep the public interested in space and exploration. Look,
I've got a question for you, Piers. I've got a question for you. A very fair question. Hold on. Somebody, I've got lots of echo here. One of you guys, one of you folks, has got your volume up on the post. You might have turned it down now because the echo. Oh no, it's still there. Check your volume, guys. Turn it down. Right. Okay. Yeah. So Wayne Eason asked a very salient question. What's this got to do with Brexit? Piers, can you summarise an answer for Wayne? I know it's very difficult.
I'm trying to get to it. Bilderberg was created to control.
Hold on, we've got terrible echo from somebody.
And raise revenue.
Piers, one sec. Somebody needs to turn down the volume on their probably the web browser, the tab with the show on it or something, because we're getting. Chris, are you there, Chris?
Yeah.
Chris? Hey, darling, is it you? Have you got your volume up?
No, I'm only on the mobile phone.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, I hope your ear's not getting too hot. What about you, Jacqueline?
I've just unmuted. I've been muted all this time.
You've been muted. Oh, all right. Okay. Piers, your volume. We've got to be right because we've got to get the audio right. Otherwise, people won't be able to hear.
I'm just using my phone as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, look, carry on. The echo seems to have gone now. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Karen Potts says, I'm just trying to shut up Piers. I'm not. Right. Piers, how do you what's this got to do with Brexit? I'm elevator pitch
give me another 2 or 3 minutes and we'll arrive at why this is related to Brexit.
2-3 minutes.
Okay. Basically, Brexit. The Bilderberg Group was set up to control the human population on Earth. Their job has been to centralise power and to raise revenue for these military projects, black ops projects, secret space program. The silicon chip was basically alien technology that was reverse engineered and was allowed to be used on Earth to allow the banks to create fiat currency, to produce millions in fiat currency, trillions in fiat currency, a lot of which has been siphoned off into the secret space program programs. Basically, we're heading towards a juncture. At the end of the precession of the equinox, which is every 25,960 years approximately, we're at that juncture now. We're entering the age of Aquarius. the sun lets off a blast of extreme energy, a sort of which can cause a conflagration on this planet. The reason why they have the reason.
Piers, it's you. You're talking too closely into, I don't know, something. The mic is getting too close to the speaker or something like that.
I'll back the phone up. How's that?
What? What do you say?
Worse.
I'm holding
Piers.
the phone miles away.
Why don't you just get on your laptop and use that?
Because I can't log on to Skype. It's not letting me log on to Skype on my laptop for some reason.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Look, okay. Let me ask, Jacqueline and Chris.
Christine?
These kind of things that Piers is talking about, do they make any sense to you? Have you heard much about this? Because I have to say, there are links here. Yeah.
What I have to say on that is, I've got a very, very close dear friend who works private security in Afghanistan, and he has been to a warehouse, and this is the God's honest truth, and I've seen the photographs, and they have crates and crates of American dollars. Crates and crates, the whole length of a warehouse of American dollars, sat there in crates. And every now and then, he has to go there with armed guards and collect wads of money like you've never seen in your life and take it to a mosque to pay them off. I don't know where this comes from.
Take it to a mosque?
Yeah, so there must be money floating around somewhere. I don't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's just a private security man.
Right. Okay. Right. Look. Okay. I'm gonna change the tack of this.
That's all I'm saying.
You didn't
Because-
give me a chance to finish why all this relates to Brexit.
Oh God, I didn't. Piers, I apologise. Please carry on.
Yeah, go on, Piers, because I'm interested in knowing
All
more.
right, okay. I mean, basically, we're heading towards this pulse from the sun that occurs roughly every 26,000 years. They've been aware of this. It's been accounted for in ancient texts. The reason why the Book of Enoch was left out of the Bible was because it refers to this flash from the sun. It refers to the Watchers. It refers a lot to the ancient past and how man's genetics were manipulated by people that basically crash landed on Earth. The reason that was why Constantine left the Book of Enoch out of the Bible. And the same stories were written about in other ancient texts from other religions around the world, completely independently of each other, but they all say the same thing. They are all pointing to this particular time and juncture in history, the time we're living in now.
Right.
There was a lot of end of world doom and gloom about 2012. They were off by a few years. The window now is this flash is going to occur between now and 2023. One of the reasons probably why they are delaying Brexit and all the rest of it is because they think that the flash will occur within that juncture of time. Therefore, they've positioned
We won't be here anymore, yeah?
Well, they've built large...
This is very deep, Piers.
They've spent trillions building vast underground facilities around the globe. And they don't know how severe this flash from the sun is going to be. It could be a massive conflagration that burns the surface of the Earth, but it might not be that bad. It might be just simply a severe EMP. But essentially, we're heading towards this point. They know it's coming. This is why the world economy has been run into the ground. It's not basically purely about human greed. It's actually to do with them creating the infrastructure necessary to withstand and last out.
Well, surely if they're in a bunker somewhere, they don't need money.
They don't need
It's
money.
It's not about money. It's about power, is it not? And control.
They need money for to build the infrastructure on Earth. They do have a large sort of off-book slave force that they use, but they're doing all this in conjunction with off-world beings.
Look, hold on a sec. Piers, I'm going to call you back. Just out of interest, I'm wondering, now Piers has... Oh, I've still got echo. I've still got echo. Piers, I'm calling you straight back, and I'm going to get rid of you, Chris. God bless you. I'll call you back, Chris. Now, Have we still got echo? Because I've got to get rid of this echo. Because if we can't hear clearly what our arch conspiracy theorist is explaining or trying to explain to us, then we're yeah. Blimey. Okay, it's Chris's. Chris Ford.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, you got to sort your echo out, darling. Right. Okay, Jackie, this is difficult to understand. A lot of this stuff, whatever. I'm gonna bring it.
Way above
I'm gonna
me.
bring it.
Way
I'm
above
gonna
my brain.
well, I'm going to bring it up to date, if you like, in a different way. Look at this from a different way. Approach the Bilderberg question from a different angle to the one that Piers has taken. And I know Piers will be able to comment on this as well, and I'm sure a lot of you will too. And by the way, your comments, I know a lot of you support what Piers is saying, albeit it sounds so fantastical. Piers, are you there now? Okay, I'll get him back. Are you? Hey? Is that you? Or is that Jackie?
I've not said a word.
Okay, all right. Piers, are you there? Oh, blimey. I'll try and get him back. Look, okay. FCO 30-1048. Heath knew it was treason. This is a document. Basically, these are government cabinet minutes that were leaked. That were held, in secret for 30-odd years, came out under the 30-year rule whereby they had to disclose these minutes. And if you look at this, if you just type into any search engine, FCO 30-1048, you type that into any search engine and you can read this document. You can see the how the Heath government knew damn well that we were receding, whether we were giving away our sovereignty. And they knew it wouldn't be immediate with the 72 ECA. They knew that it would actually be more a case of us giving up our sovereignty, the biggest part of our sovereignty in the new century, i.e. now. We start really, really seeing the difference. And guess what? Just a couple of weeks ago, Juncker was saying, yeah, we want more integration, etc., etc. All the things that the Remain camp said that wouldn't be the case. So if you look at that document, FCO 30-1048, it will show you categorically that the Heath cabinet knew that we would be giving away our sovereignty by its droves. And they put up with that. Now, I bring that up, and I'll bring up something else as well. And that's this story, which is, I think it's in today, from the Freedom of Information Action Centre, telling us that Edward Heath, police delayed the Conifer report to avoid overshadowing the Tory conference. And I'll read this. Police delayed publishing a report on their investigation into Edward Heath over child sexual abuse to avoid overshadowing the coming party conference. Yeah, so they get that out of the way, and then because this is a massive, massive story. Mike Veal, the Chief Constable of Wiltshire Police, has sent a full confidential report detailing evidence that Heath was an active paedophile while he was Prime Minister to Amber Rudd, Home Secretary, in the past fortnight. Officers on the investigation believe that Ted Heath would have to go on trial if he was still alive. One source said, I have seen successful prosecutions on a lot less that Mike Veal has already got. Veal was planning to publish a summary report on Operation Conifer, the 2-year investigation into Heath, at the end of next week. When he realized that the Conservative conference was next weekend, he decided to delay the publication by a week. And that is so convenient for this government, which is consumed, of course, with all of this, and with some of us discussing the link between, the possible link between Ted Heath's alleged perversions and the fact that he could have been manipulated. Now, before I explain how the possibility of him having been manipulated has been admitted by one of his own whips of his own government, before I explain and play you that clip, maybe just read a bit more of this, because, I mean, the kind of language that they're discussing behind Operation Conifer is quite incredible. A source close to Veal said, when Conifer does come out, I think that it will be dynamite. He also said the evidence speaks for itself. Both sources say that Veal is personally convinced, that's the Chief Constable, on the strength of Operation Conifer, that Heath was a paedophile. And Veal actually said, I'm 120% convinced. That's what he said. And you might remember some months ago, he went on telly appealing for witnesses, which was quite an incredible sort of a thing to do. I'm not sure whether it was right or wrong, but it was pretty massive. And yes, another source is saying the evidence speaks for itself. They stress that it's not for the police to express a view on Heath's guilt in their report. The report says that were Heath alive, detectives would next interview him under caution with a view to sending a file to the CPS for charging decisions. And I'm sure we can all expect the CPS to look after the best interests of children in the UK, as they always have. Jana, Leon Brett and all that. It stresses that it would be for a jury to decide whether he was guilty. Wiltshire Police, which has come under intense pressure from establishment figures and media to drop the investigation, is planning to hold a lengthy press conference to mark the publication of the summary report. The full report will also go to the inquiry into child sexual abuse. Officers on Operation Conifer see the report as a game changer on the issue of VIP paedophiles. And, well, I mean, Jackie, I guess you have been following this story a bit, yeah? I can't hear you now. You're muted, darling. Probably.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just didn't want to cause any whistles or any.
Right.
I'm more interested in why they're harping back to those days when these people are dead. You know what I mean? I'm a Pompey girl. I know Ted Heath.
Yeah, he was a PM, and also okay. Let me just answer that with something else, because there is a very, very important aspect to this. This is the reason why I bring it up. I brought up the FCO and also 48, 10, 48, and also this, because there could be a correlation, and it was actually explained by Ted Heath's own whip for his government, whose job it was to keep MPs in line so that they would vote with, well, with who? With the wishes of who? This is what Tim Fortescue said, yeah. Ted Heath's whip.
Anyone within a cent and 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 a cent and
a
cent and a cent
and
a cent and a cent and a cent.
Oh dear. Okay, it's one of those shows. Let's have another go.
Anyone within a cent who was in trouble would come to the witness and tell them the truth. They'll say, no, I'm in a jam. Can you help? It might be debt. It might be scandal involving small boys, or any kind of scandal which a member seemed likely to be mixed up in. They'd come and ask if we could help, and if we could, we did. And we would do everything we can, because we would store up brownie points. That sounds a pretty nasty reason, but it's one of the reasons. Is if we can get a chap out of trouble, then he'll do as we ask.
He's beholden to you, yeah.
Right, Tim Fortescue, Ted Heath's whip, and then it's Ted Heath himself that has this massive cloud hanging over him.
No, it's not. He's
which
dead.
Could all be an allegation. Well, over his legacy, and that could have been the reason that we were coerced with that 1972 ECA, despite the fact that the government, the cabinet, knew that they would be flushing our sovereignty down the toilet. I just find, is that not incredible, Jacqueline? Is that not absolutely incredible?
It does make sense. It does absolutely make sense. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, because if you've got enough over someone, even when they know that the whole government is committing total treason, they dare and vote against it. It's as simple as that, really, isn't it?
We've got some comments come in. Beverly Cornwall, hi. Marty Kane says the only applicable document in regards to Brexit now is the Lisbon Treaty. It was signed and agreed legally in the eyes of UK, EU and international law. Yeah, but Marty, if what I said, if there's any truth in that, then all subsequent treaties with the EU are void, effectively. If if we weren't even taken in under an honest referendum, which we weren't in 72, then what does that tell you about everything that's gone on since? It's all up for debate, basically. The whole can of worms is enormous. And Andrew Gillette, Karen Potts, if you want more members, make it clear how one goes about joining, please. Okay. Chris Rumbold, FCO 1048 proves it. Yvonne Taylor, probe the probes. Andy Good, even straight MPs get set up, drugged, then put in a compromising position with a child, pics taken, then controlled. We do hear about stuff going on. We also hear rumours about Oxbridge graduates being coerced somehow into some kind of a situation and then being by MI5 and then being used as public servants. Yeah, manipulable. It's very hard to know how much truth there is in that, but we do know, sadly, since Jimmy Savile and that VIP paedophile ring, since the allegations of people like Lord Boothby with the craze, and it's also the tapestry is outrageous, and across all parties as well. We do know that there is a possibility, and we do know that this is the sort of thing that the child abuse inquiry must address. We've got Yvonne Taylor laughing at this. Neil Farrer saying gremlins are out today. We've always got gremlins on the show, Neil, I must admit. Thought you were rapping, says Mark Painter. Diane Abbott, trying to take our minds off things. Distraction. Get Spaceship Man back on, says Neil Farrer. Okay, I'm trying, Neil. I don't know where the bloody hell he is. I'm trying to get him back on. Christopher Michael Baxter, how many more of these snollygosters of the same era are involved? It was an act of treason by our own government, says Stephen Morgan, who conspired with foreign diplomats to betray our country. Yvonne Taylor, indeed the truth. Intelligence agencies set up a lot of MPs so they can be controlled, says Andy Good. Sam Phipps, Jimmy Savile was providing the kids from children's homes. Veal is a star. That's the Wiltshire Police Chief Constable. He needs everyone's support. It was also happening in Scotland too, says Matthew James Brown, and absolutely. And in fact, there are some fascinating theories surrounding Dunblane, for example, there, and the links between the killer in that atrocity, Hamilton, and some of the judiciary in Scotland, as I understand. There's all sorts of interesting theories that, again, it's very, very hard to know what to believe, but we do know that some pretty awful things have been going on. We do know there have been terrible cover-ups surrounding care homes around the UK. And indeed, there's some of the people that were involved or somehow involved in these stories are still telling us what to think. You know, frankly, people like Tony Blair, who put a D notice on Operation Ore when there were allegations possibly that cabinet members were somehow implicated in the pedo list on Operation Ore. There was a D list on it anyway. Why was there a D list on Operation Ore, which was trying to uncover paedophilia across the UK? Why was there a D list on that? There also another very prominent, more recent, is what's her name? Acting Labour leader, Tessa Jowl, was implicated with supporting Pi, as was her husband, and despite that, she was the acting leader of the Labour Party pretty much straight afterwards, and nobody blinked an eye. You know what, Jackie? How far do you think this goes? How incestuous is the kind of the sickness that could have permeated our politics, and that might be the true, genuine reason that we are encumbered with this plutocracy? What
a terrifying thought, isn't it?
It is.
Isn't it?
It's horrid.
Terrifying,
it's
terrifying
absolutely horrid.
Normal people, I do say power corrupts. I do say the more money you've got, the more perverted you get, because once you can have one thing, you want the next, and then the next, and then the next. So the people with the most money and the most power are the ones who are the most perverse when it comes to any cheap thrill. So it's possible. It's very, very possible. Most normal run-of-the-mill people have absolutely not an ounce of sexual interest in children. But once you go past prostitution, and that's no longer thrilling, so then you try being gay. That's no longer thrilling. Then you want youngsters. That is slightly thrilling. And then because it's highly illegal, it's even more thrilling. And because you've got a lot of money, you can buy it. So, yes, well, what he's saying is that people were coerced into signing us into the EU by secrets that were known about them. And yeah, I do agree that they could have been actually forced to vote against what they knew was right for the country because of secrets.
We got some more comments come in. Derek Pierce, I've got no money, so my motorbikes are all I want. Lots of laugh. Yvonne Taylor, truth. Sam Phipps, to protect the elite. Sam Phipps, the amount of missing children's figure is rigged. There are thousands, but the government keeps the real figure hidden. I think the true figure I think the official figure is something like 100,000 kids per year across Europe. And I think that the official figure is the same in the United States, 100,000. I think that's the official. I think they're the official figures of missing kids.
Thank God mine are all
I may be
safe.
wrong there, but I think that's correct. Pardon, Jackie?
I said, thank God mine are all safe then. All grown up and got children of their own and watching them like hawks.
David Clark, haven't mentioned the Muslim word yet, which as we know is synonymous with paedophilia.
Let's stay off that for now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty endemic across everywhere. Andy Good, Satanists, he's saying, and indeed, it's a shame old Piers can't be on here. Well, I've tried to get him back. I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe he collapsed or something. I hope he's all right. He's pretty. I know he's normally on the wine a bit later in the evening. I know that. Piers is a very, very old friend of mine. You can check out our shows that we used to do together on this page. There's a couple of dozen shows that we did together, which morphed into this show, Daily Brexit. And he has got some awesome insight into this whole deal and the more esoteric background. And this is very difficult for people to accept. Jackie, it's really tough, isn't it? To actually think
scary.
That everything that you believe,
scary, isn't it?
been brought up to believe, actually is more or less a pack of lies. And the real motivations of the elite are quite possibly something very, very different to what we hear about. And we don't ask the questions because we don't even bother to ask about senior lodges, Masonic lodges, and all that sort of stuff. Which, I mean, if we don't even ask about that.
Where's the Queen on all this?
Where is the Queen on all this?
Yeah, why has she not spoken up? It's her sovereignty that they're taking away. And I'm a royalist, so, you know, I am totally a royalist.
We have had one or two comments to the point. I did really just want to get through that side of it, that, if you like, conspiratorial side.
Yeah. And I can see a lot to it.
As a basis to have this debate, what must we do? And we maybe spent too much time on that.
Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder.
Join
Jackie, Rolling Thunder. If anybody else has got any ideas what we can do, please, that's the point of this show. And please call in, yeah? Olly Connolly on Skype. Give us a shout and let us know what you think. Reese Munns. So if we were not in the so-called EU club legally, then why is our government willing to throw away the taxpayers' money to leave something that we don't belong to? Do this government not understand that we're not members, or what? We need to just walk away, and there is nothing they can do about it. And I would have thought that the EU owe us a very big refund. Christina Kane, walk away. Debbie Shaw, Her Madge has signed us all away knowing. I'm not sure quite what she means there, Debbie. I think you've got a spelling error, and I don't want to misrepresent you. Andy Good, Satanism. They worship Lucifer. And Yvonne Taylor alleges that Tony Blair likes cottages or something. And And David Allison, the Queen, has already signed away her sovereignty in the Maastricht Treaty. Christina Kane, pay nothing. Christopher Baxter, to clarify the position of the fundraising on behalf of UKIP regarding leaving the EU, which is the backing of leadership candidate John Rhys-Evans, who will be setting up a new web page profile for the call. Okay. I think Chris is biased, I have to say. The money raised today will be transferred to the new fundraiser website at the Earliest Job Studio. Anyway, you can read that. You can read that. Yeah. Okay. All right. I've got Graham Moore just messaged me, and I'm going to give him a shout. Jackie, hold on. I'm going to give Graham a bell and just see if he picks this up and find out how it went for him today. And hopefully he had less technical problems than this bloody show has. Graham, are you there, mate? Are you there? Calling you, mate.
Come on, Graham.
Pick up your bloody phone, for God's sake. Said something
the
wrong.
dragons.
Well, look. Jackie, when are you going to do your first car slowdown then?
We've got lots of organising of lots of small groups, so I couldn't give you a date on. It's happening fast. People are joining fast. It's amazing. So faster than I thought, actually. October.
You've got, what, 1,600 people or so that have showed their interest in this, yeah?
Yep.
And you said to me earlier they're the length and breadth of the country.
Literally, that has gone live today. That's 1,600 people today. And I've been on here an hour. Now, I was signing up and adding people at a rate of 12 an hour, 15 an hour, all day long.
I want to hear other ideas. I think that we need to have updates regularly on how we can.
Loads of ideas, and there should be plenty of people coming up with ways now, instead of sitting at home bemoaning that we're being betrayed and doing nothing about it. Don't moan if you can't get off your arse.
Traditionally, my kind of most personal ways to protest have been, and still are, to shop local with small producers, with not with corporations or with cooperatives, as much as I can, and basically just to, and not to bank any more than I have to take out cash and to pay in cash rather than for shops to have to pay more bank charges and things like that. Are these things that you would tend to do, Jackie? I mean, do people realise, do you think, that we need to, as it takes more time, it's not as pointed a protest, but if we did, all of us, do these smaller things in our everyday lives, that also surely would send a message.
It would, yeah. And I mean, I try to shop locally, I try to support local businesses, but inevitably everything's at your fingertips now, and you press a button, you go buy now, 2 days later it's there in your house, you've got it. You know, PayPal is the most wonderful thing on earth, and I think we've all been lost to it. I pass people on appeals in the street. I go to my purse, I haven't got any cash in it. I'm like, how ridiculous is that? I've got no cash. I've got cards only. So I now, and my husband does as well, we've got a pool in the middle of the car, and we grab a handful of change when we go out, just for a Red Cross appeal or, you know, a hospice appeal, just so we've got £1 to put in their box.
Okay, right, I cocked up. Graham is around as well. Okay, let's get Graham as well and find out what he has to say about this. Yeah, he'll pick it up. He picked it up last time. I just didn't realise. Yeah, I apologise. I'm a bit.
God, this Skype is it's so clever.
Well, Graham Moore.
Hello, how's one?
Hello, mate. How are Mr. Pendragon?
Well done today, Graham.
Thank you very much.
We've got Jacqueline Jackson here with you, Graham. And a lot of people are, well, I'll tell you what, online, people are really, really chuffed with what you've been doing today. How did it feel for you?
Well, I've got to tell you, let me tell you something, Olly. I was so pleased with today. I'll tell you for why. There was a whole family, little kids from 5 years old, all the way up till about 12 or 13 with their parents, drove all the way from Newcastle to be there with us outside. There were people from Manchester, Yorkshire, all the people that said they was going to be there was there. We had a fantastic response from the public. There was a couple of young people, and I'm telling you, it's not their fault. They've been brainwashed in the schools.
I said that.
Yep.
I said that.
Yep.
But when we got on the loud and I started telling people about the 30,000 that die every year in this country of the cold, elderly people, because they can't afford to eat and heat, and that we have had stolen directly from us £160 billion since 1994 from one type of VAT fraud, just one type. Let me tell you something. People were stopping on the other side of the street, and taxis were stopping and winding down their windows and listening to us. The guys in the Royal Courts of Justice, God bless them, they come out and they said, we've got no issues with you being here at all. Would you please take your flags down off of our railings, but we're not being nasty. Come with us. A couple of them followed them round and they said, here's the barriers. Put the barriers out and put your flags on the barriers.
Right, okay. Well, that's cool.
So they was lovely. They was even coming out and talking to us. They was telling us where the best place to get a coffee was, cheap, and everything that you would expect. I've lost my voice off. Like
you have, yeah.
for England today. But basically, we went through a lot of things with the public. We was giving out our leaflets, which described exactly what we was doing and why we was doing it. We had some very good discussions with people. Bearing in mind what I've said is, listen, this is not about politics. This goes above politics. This is the rule of law. And we had a guy there that was a computer programmer that was talking to us and saying, I'm a Remainer, but I like what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it is about the rule of law. He said, I don't know indeed. He knew quite a bit about our constitution, funny enough, but he was in our age group. But he said, I am impressed that you have actually done something, that you haven't got hundreds of millions of pounds wrapped round you, and that people have travelled. I mean, you see all the kids, these kids, I've never met them before, online. To be fair, they have been, sending me pictures and listening to the radio show, and a 5-year-old drew a picture of a dragon and wrote on the top, obviously his mum helped him, common law, the rule of law, no loss, no harm, no injury. And all of them kids today ran up to me and cuddled me and said, we just love England and we love what you're doing. And they all those kids wanted to come there to meet me. And I said, look, it's not just about me. And their parents said, it is, because you're actually doing something and they can see it as children. And what I say to the trolls is this: how many kids have you got running up to you in the street outside the High Court, cuddling you because of what you're doing for them?
I can't see any trolls. I'll tell you what, I don't see any trolls here. I see Heather Hopper. Well done today, Graham. A productive day then, Graham Moore, says Madge Baldry. Lee Graham Lloyd, thank you for today, Graham. Yvonne Taylor, selected, not elected, it's a sham. Talking about the... okay, Marty Kay maybe disagrees with you, I think. So what was the actual purpose of it today? Was the judicial review in the court today? That's a fair comment, yeah?
No, that isn't the purpose of today. What we're doing is exactly the same as Iceland. We've gone above politics and we're going to the rule of law and people power. What we're doing is creating awareness of our constitutional laws and rights, liberties and freedoms. And bearing in mind, and I said this on a number of occasions today, and there was people coming up to me. In fact, there was someone who was a court reporter,
Right.
slightly above my age group, and actually said, you know, Graham, you are right.
Fantastic.
He
Court reporter.
said, and what he actually said, when he said you're right, he said they stopped constitutional barristers' exams in the 70s, and they stopped people being taught civics in the 70s, and that coincided with the European Communities Act of 1972 being enacted. They didn't want people to know that they had a right of claim and a claim of right. And what's happening now with people like myself, you, Olly, on the TV, the mainstream media, they are brainwashing people.
That's right.
And what we are doing on the internet, on the World Wide Web, which by the way was an English invention, we are giving the world an education, and people have now. I've got books that I wouldn't have had access to 30 years ago that I'm now downloading and getting sent to me from America about, believe it or not, our pre-Christ laws in England. And then when you look at these things and people say, well, so what is it? And again, there was a number of really good, decent conversations with people today that agree that, you know, and there was people bibbing. So today was about, we're calling it a Constitutional Awareness Day. Now, in Iceland, it took 4 months before there was enough people that kept going. Now, it wasn't just in the Royal Courts of Justice in London. It was in Manchester, Cardiff, Birmingham, Leeds, which are the other of equal right courts throughout the country, because we're trying to include as many. Not everyone can get to London.
Sure.
So what we're saying is it's there for you. You understand that document and the documents have gone in. And when I started to explain to people what Edward Heath had done, and this is the first time ever that someone has put that document and other documents, including fraudulent documents from the EU and HMRC documents, to the judges, explaining to them, this is what happened. That's the document that was kept under lock and key for 30 years. Now, everybody else, one person, has made a serious mistake who did it before. So apologies, there was a geezer who done it before. But they went for what's known as treason. And what I've said is don't do that, because you're not going to get a judge in this land to go against the longest serving queen this country's ever had. And what you need to do is clearly highlight that the queen was conned the same as we were. And that is misfeasance in public office. Because of the referendum on the 23rd of June 2016, and it was Nigel Farage that created the situation that happened. When that referendum set out, it took the double lock off. It removed it from being a constitutional law to an ordinary statute.
The double lock.
The double lock is removed, and that means that this judiciary, once they look at the lawful process of how it was enacted, can void it. They have the discretion to do that. And if they decide we were conned, they weren't truthful.
That's right.
They hit this. The judges can go, you know, saying this law is it's nullified. It is void, and it ceased to exist as if it had never existed.
When you
That's
talk,
the difference.
I know you've got a bunch of documents that you're interested in. One sec, Jack. One sec. I know you've got a bunch. Jacqueline. One sec. I know you've got a bunch of documents that you're interested in, and that you're targeting, Graham. But when you mentioned the one under the 30-year rule, is that the FCO 30-1048 that you're talking about?
Correct.
Right. Okay. We covered that earlier on the show. I just wanted to clarify that, Jacqueline, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any judge brave enough in Britain today to actually do that.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Jackie, because on the Lad Howler today, I actually said, and let me tell you something, there was judges wandering about up there, right? And I actually said that we have been one single type of fraud, just one type of fraud, which is missing trader into community fraud, has cost us 160 billion. And I said the judges through VAT tribunals have been forced to give the criminals the money because their hands are tied by European Union rules and laws and our rules and laws on VAT. And I explained about the serving police officer. People would open mouth that a serving police officer had a turnover of 2.3 billion in 8 months. And he stole from us 365 million in cash. And the judge in his trial, and it's very unusual for him to be caught, the judge said, you seriously telling me that this geezer, or he didn't say geezer, he said this man has created a 2.3 billion pound turnover, a blue chip company in 8 months, and no one raised an eyebrow in the government, not one. No one in HMRC said, what's going on here? And it come out in court that, yeah, but it's paid on invoice and there's nothing they can do.
Wow.
You know, Graham, the other thing that we were talking about earlier in this show, before you joined us, were these allegations about Ted Heath, made not least of all by Veal, the chief inspector from Wiltshire Police. Yeah. I don't know if he still is now. I mean, he went off on health grounds and all sorts off the back of... Anyway, he reckoned he was 120% sure that Heath was a paedophile. And it does kind of lead one, particularly given a clip I played just earlier, which I'm sure you know, of Tim Fortescue saying how basically MPs could be manipulated depending on their perversions, and even mentioned the phrase little boys, and that they would help these perverts in exchange for getting them to vote with the government, or with, more to the point, with Bilderberg, you could argue. And that's my question, actually. A big part of the question on this show today is that what happened? And is that why they were happy to discuss what they discussed in Cabinet? You get the FCO 1048 as a result of it. But it's hidden for 30 years. They're all going to be dead anyway. And basically, we've been sold out. Heath's been manipulated to take us into the ECA 1972.
Agreed. Well, let me, if you don't mind, I'll explain 3 things. First of all, in America, where their freedom of information and freedom of speech and protection of the press is much stronger, they have got documentaries in the US which are banned in this country about Heath and exactly what he'd done.
Really?
That's the first thing. The second,
we want links.
Well,
carry on.
Well, the second thing is that, and I'm referring to the Nazis now.
Yep.
The Nazis were the best psychological manipulators that Europe has ever seen. They basically targeted people on their perversions. That was part of what they did.
You're talking about even when they're at university, for example, MI5 type stuff.
You're absolutely right, and we do it in this country. The CIA does it as well. This is not something that's unique to the Nazis, but the Nazis certainly drilled down and said, right, how do we get control of these people? And they used those perversions to do it. So that's the first thing. The second thing I'll say to you is that it is well known that Edward Heath received a payment from the European Union of £35,000. That's factual, and there is proof of that. And it's also factual that he spent £35,000 on a yacht. So he basically sold his country
the Morning
out
Cloud?
for a yacht.
Not the his wonderful Morning Cloud.
Sorry,
he called
Olly.
it. Didn't the kids?
35 grand. But there was proof that.
Sorry. Hold on. One sec, Graham. Jacqueline's got to go and put the kids to bed.
I have to go then, darling. All right.
Jacqueline, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, sir. It's my pleasure.
Will you please come back and tell us what's going on with these protests?
Absolutely, at any time. At any time. I'll keep you in touch, Ollie, and obviously I'm hoping you'll join our group.
Awesome. Well, I did earlier, and I want to
because I've been on with you. So
wonderful.
Yeah, if you're on, then you'll see what's being posted and how it's going. And I hope Graham can come on board as well, because he'd be the most awesome partner in crime.
Splendid.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm sure you will be as well. The answer, Jackie, I know you've got to put the keys to bed, is that civil disobedience is the answer.
Yeah, but not from the kids. Make sure they go to bed.
Yeah, right, I've got to go because my grandson wants to go to bed and he won't go to bed without his nanny.
All right, good.
All right.
Wonderful.
Good night.
God bless you.
Everybody.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay.
God bless.
God bless.
Right. Sam Phipps points out there were several morning clouds. Actually, I think his security detail called it the morning glory or something. Graham, carry on. You were saying.
Yeah, so there are a number of issues with Ted Heath, but I mean, at the end of the day, that document that was signed off into the archives, and again, it was a retired gentleman that went and hunted that document, knew that it was coming up for the day where it'd be released, knew it was there, found it, digitised it, and made the Telegraph aware of it at the time. And, you know, we have now put the whole document, I think it's 234 pages, in front of the judges, but we've also built a case, but not just on misfeasance in public office. We have dropped out completely anything to do with treason. I don't believe that our most gracious Queen was a party to treason. This conspiracy was enabled well before she was even born, and that's factual. So for me, bearing in mind we've got three parts to our constitution, we're unique because we have three elements. We have the monarch, a part of the Crown Estate. We have the monarch, which is independent. We have the judiciary that is independent, and we have Parliament. We literally now, and it is our right to do this, petition the monarch and petition our judiciary. And if either one of them comes up trump for us, Parliament will be put in its place severely.
Right. How long? It's not long now, is it? What is it? A couple of weeks. The government's got to respond to your writ.
David Davis now, I think he's got 14 days left, basically.
Right.
And what happens is what's actually gone in is the full skeleton argument. They have been given a copy of it. The case number has been issued, and what happens is they have 21 days to reply. When they reply, they say what their feelings are,
right?
And then it goes in front of the judge, which is probably going to be Michael Supperston, who is the person who's in charge of the last one we put in. He's the head of the administration court. So, but anyone out there that doubts our ability and what we've done as open source law, the government have employed one of the best barristers in this country to defend the first one. Not sure what they're going to do with the second one, but as I said, if David Davis was to turn up in court and say, you know, we're going to leave it to the judges to decide.
What?
Because
go on.
So basically, when you put a judicial review in, you're asking for leave for judicial review. If the judge says, we believe this is an arguable case, and most people that we've spoke to have looked at the skeleton argument and the evidence have said this is arguable, 100%. And it's more arguable because you've left treason out, right?
Right.
Because that is the most dangerous thing that you can put before them, because no one in the establishment is going to look at the Queen and say, you're accusing our Queen of being treasonous. And what I'm saying is, no, I'm not. That is not what we're doing. But this has happened, and we want the judiciary to look at it. And again, bearing in mind that I've got a number of judicial review books that have actually been written by the law lords, and they have said categorically, we do have the power to void an act of Parliament. it's discretionary. They haven't used it. The last person that come close was one of our kings in 1911, but the last queen that refused assent to a bill was Queen Anne. And funny enough, the two statutes, which is part of our constitution that we're talking about, is the Acts of Union, plural, 1706, 1707. And she refused assent because the Scottish militia wanted to be armed against the English, and she said, "I'm not having that. You either withdraw that completely from the bill, or I'm not giving you assent." And they withdrew it. But what you've got to understand, this is the bit that people don't understand, and they should do, because this is just basic common sense.
Go on.
The judiciary can void or judge any law or any statutory instrument, any subversive instrument from a statute, right? So that means, and I'm going to ask people a question, how did the UK Parliament come into being? Well, the answer to that, quite simply, was that it was created by the Acts of Union 1706 and 1707,
right,
which means that any Act of Parliament within the United Kingdom Parliament is judicial reviewable, and they have the power because it is subversant to those two constitutional statutes. And that's the bit that people are not getting. And when I mean, we have got...
It is hard. I got to say, personally, I do find it hard to wrap my head around. And in fairness, most of us just don't have the legalese to understand any of it, really. But, I mean, irrespective of that, though, personally, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, by the way, because clearly anything that is positive for democracy and for individual rights, something I'm going to applaud. And also, it just seems so logical, given what we've been discussing tonight, that the EU, there is a strong case at least to say that we were taken into the EEC under entirely false pretenses.
I agree. And what people don't understand is now...
It is difficult for us to wrap our heads around this, though. It is difficult for me. You see that, don't you? I mean, blimey, you've got your head in the books. You must have a headache with it.
Ollie, what gets me...
Go on.
Is that you've literally got thousands of people that are hunting the information through open source law. You've got barristers and judges that are keeping their heads below the parapet that want this to succeed. And what is being put at the High Court technically can only be done now because of what Nigel Farage did and what we did as a nation. After 43 years, we said we're not interested. We can now see that we've lost control of our nation and we want control back. We want our country back.
Yes.
And the most, after 43 years of experience, without seeing that document that was hidden for us for 30 years, where it actually told us this is what's going to happen. And if they had told the truth, for example, there was a precedent set by Lord Reid, and what he said was politicians must stand up to the political consequences and tell people the truth.
Yeah.
And if they don't, we can void their decisions.
Yeah, Andy Good saying that. We were basically lied to and duped, signed away our sovereignty in the 70s. Sorry, carry on.
Well, so if you look at it even if you looked at it from a mergers and commissions point of view, just from a commercial law, if you look at it, if you had a merger and commission and one company took over another company but completely lied about its accounts, its books, its finances, and there were things that through due diligence, which is a legal term, should have been disclosed but wasn't, that merger is basically null and void, and compensation is generally paid to whoever's lost, and that means shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, I mean, it happened in the Saunders case with Guinness. There was a number of them that went to prison. They said they had Alzheimer's. They got released.
That's right.
Miraculously recovered.
Yeah. I remember that.
So there's lots of things that are in our favour. It's just, you know, you're right, whether a judges today, and I believe there are judges that are good for us. I'm not going to say who they are, but certainly, although he's passed now, obviously, but Sir Alfred Denning, otherwise known as Lord Denning.
Yes.
I mean, his first name was Alfred. He loved England.
Yeah.
And he was a proper working class judge.
Yeah.
If he had been in there, I'll tell you what, we would have absolutely no issues whatsoever, because he would say, I am not tolerating this. So this comes down to simple law, and people must remember that Parliament is not sovereign, we are, and I've explained why we are before. But the second most serious thing people must understand is the law is supreme, not Parliament and not the monarch. The law is.
I suspect we know what you're going to say, but David Allison asks, judges are also likely Freemasons / Bilderbergers. That's a question.
There are plenty of Freemasons that are judges, I agree. I'm not a Freemason, by the way. There are good people and bad people in every organisation. There are good people in the Conservatives and there are extremely bad people. There's good people in the Labour Party, there's extremely bad people. You'll get that in all walks of life. But on the whole, if such a case has been put forward that it is blatantly obvious that the judges do have, one, discretion to void it, and two, that they should void it, then they will. I have no doubt. But the difference is, the people have now got someone not only that's got a mental handle on what's going on and what the law is, but someone that will present this in a court of law, not as a barrister, but as a lay person. Now, the Hamlin Trust lectures is something that I'm pretty big on. And if people don't know what that is.
What is, Graham? I don't.
The Hamlin Trust lectures.
Right.
Basically, there was a lady who died when she was 80. She was seriously into the law. Her dad, she was a spinster when she died. Her dad was a solicitor, but she loved England, and she bequeathed her whole estate to the trust on the condition that lords, judges, and senior people in our judiciary would come and give lectures to common people, to the common man, and make sure that the common man and woman and child always understood their constitutional rights. And the first ever lecture was by, and he wasn't a lord then, Sir Alfred Denning. And he gave a lecture on freedom and the English. And I read it, and there was parts of it that brought tears to my eyes. He was such a fantastic man. There was other Lord McDermott, he was the Lord Chief Justice of Northern Ireland. Yep. He was actually blown up by the IRA, and he went back and he finished his lecture. He said, I'm not having anyone stop me lecturing people on the law. And he was seriously injured. He's otherwise known as the Baron, because they give him the title of Baron before he got made a Lord.
Right.
But again, these people have, there's other guys, Wade, for example. The Hamlin Trust lectures were designed and put to working class common people, so they understood, and they would always understand, and they're all archived. Yep. So you can look at what these judges have said, and you can quote from them lectures, and they also put various pieces of law in there, and that archive is very rarely used by common lay people. Whereas it's one of the things that I rely on. I think, you know, if someone bequeathed their whole estate and said, listen, judges, this is what I want you to do, and they've all agreed, and they said, we're going to do that, and they've done it. To this date, they still do it. So, you know, people have to understand there are some of it. I mean, I've had an interest in law for probably 30 years as a hobby. You know, I read the Times, I read the law report.
You're a rare animal like that.
Well,
good on you.
So
Thank goodness. A lot of people are grateful, mate. A lot of people are grateful.
Well, I mean, I'm grateful from the support that I get from the Dragons. They have helped me with donations. Not all of those donations are for the case fees, but they are to sustain me while I work. Bearing in mind that I am a Prince 2 practitioner, project manager. I can earn £400 a day. And what I've said to him is, you ain't got to pay me £400 a day. I will work for you 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we will present this case, hopefully in the Supreme Court, to 11 judges, and every ounce of my intelligence and passion will go into that. And we are about to persuade, hopefully, those 11 Supreme Court judges to make a decision for the country and on behalf of the country.
Graham, mate, thank you. A lot of people want to say thank you. Good day. Good work, sir. Graham Moore, Pendragon. What is next, Graham? What's the next headline from you?
Well, the next headline is, this isn't a one-off. Again, we're doing this in all of the courts. This is going to be a daily event. Some days there might only be one person there. Some days there could be 1,000 people there. And sooner or later, people are going to go, you know, saying, we've had enough of this. And they're all going to turn up there. And that's what happened in Iceland. That guy was a project manager. He took his country forward and he stood outside Parliament on his own. And the next day there was 5 and he explained it to them. The next day there was 25. In the end there was 100,000 people with pots and pans. And that is why we use the pots and pans today to say if Iceland did it, we can do it.
God bless the Icelanders, eh? What they've done.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But Graham, terrific. You will keep us informed, yeah? Yeah, I want you to be a friend of this show and keep us informed with what's going on, mate.
Yeah, no, most of it. Listen, we're all on the same side. It's the you know, there are certain people that are trolls, arrogant, rude, whatever. I'm not interested in that.
We've got to pull together.
I'm not interested in politics. I just want the rule of law to be applied in this country, and for every single. If you read the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Rights, it is quite clear in that document, which is still valid, yeah, very much so, because the Queen again read it out and mentioned it in a speech to Parliament in 1988, where she said that is a fundamental part of our Constitution. And she also mentioned the independent judiciary. So what I want people to know...
Graham, which document specifically are you referring to there? I'll link it.
Right, so there's a number of documents, but...
Okay.
So the particular document that I'm referencing there is one called the Declaration of Rights, which was 1688-89. Right. That was the contract between the Crown and the people. It comes under private law, not public law.
Right.
That's the only, believe it or not, non-statute in the House of Lords. Out of 3,000 statutes that are in there on parchment, that is the only one that is a contract and not a statute.
Right.
And then you've got another document which is a statute, which is the Bill of Rights, 1688-89, which is still in full force. If you read that document, the whole lot, it actually tells you point blank, and it actually says adjudged, and it tells you that we have rights that can never be removed by anybody, and that document is so important because that's what's gone in there. There's also the Act of Settlement 1701.
Lawful rebellion, says Kimmy Gandhi.
Well, the Act of Settlement 1701 clearly states that the laws, customs, ancient rights, art and freedoms are an Englishman's birthright. All of these documents are current. All of these documents are there. But again, if you remove it from the curriculum and remove it from the bar exams, people don't know that they've got, one, a right of claim, and two, a claim of right. And what I've done is put both of those in effect and say, I have. It's actually a criminal offence to stop me from petitioning the Queen and the judiciary. In fact, it's even a criminal offence under the Bill of Rights 1689 to ridicule me for doing it. Mm-hmm. So I just, when I get these people saying these things, I just think it's hilarious. I just, especially when they say that, they understand the law and all that, they've just been brainwashed. And at the end of the day, what we need to do, if I can teach the kids in this country from a young age, this is your rights. They were the ones that were fought for in 2 world wars. And you need to understand what your rights are, because that is what gives you protection against the state and tyranny. And we currently have tyranny in the Houses of Parliament, without any doubts whatsoever. So now I'm calling on the 2 other elements of our state, which the Crown Estate, which is the monarch and the judiciary. And either one of them can turn around and go, yeah, you're right, bang, we're going to sort this out.
Graham, thank you. You've been amazing. I know you've been travelling. It's been a long day for you. It's way past beer o'clock. And, hey, I really, really appreciate the update from what you guys are doing.
No problem.
Thanks,
no problem.
Thank you very much.
Like I said, I was grateful for all the support. I'm grateful for any support that we get. But I can tell you now, the reception up there was fantastic. And I can tell everybody, absolutely everybody, I am proud of every single one of you that travelled a long way with kids as well, from all over the country to be there today as the first day of protest. This is going to take, no one's going to come out and wave a magic wand.
God bless you, man.
What we are going to do is put more and more pressure on them to say, you need to look at this. And then they will.
You're absolutely right. Jacqueline Jackson, thank you so much as well. And Piers Garnham, who was, it's been a pretty wide-ranging conversation tonight, yeah. Chris Ford, and of course, Graham Moore. Thank you very much. You've been tuned into the Daily Brexit. I'm Olly Connolly, and here's to unifying and pulling our weight, yeah.
Exactly.
Your page, by the way, all of your posts today, Graham, the support online, just as an aside, was enormous. I mean, it was huge. That was very, very, very exciting to see. Quite aside from whatever support there was on the grounds, online is important too. And my God, bloody big. All right, okay, that's it, guys. I've managed to miss the queue 3 times for the out queue. Oh, look, hey, more tomorrow, yeah. And Graham's on tomorrow, 8 p.m. tomorrow, yeah.
8 p.m. on the full English.
Full English, lovely. God bless you, mate. God bless you. I'll sup a pint in your honour. Cheers, man.
Thank
you.
And
all those dragons.
Bye-bye. Bye.
God bless you.